All right, I get to give out another prize. Sorry, your name did not go back in, Andrew. Oh, I got two. All right. Harvey Matthias. Wow, the guys are winning today. All right, let's see what Dan has in this one. He has one of the Bible stories, the teaching 10 effective practices, and the loving and leading children. So awesome. Or just loving and leading. I think that one's geared more toward the teens, isn't it, Dan? No? It's both? You didn't give away the one that everybody thinks I wrote? It was so funny because Ab came to me. He's like, I want your picture on the front of this book. I'm like, Ab, you can get stock pictures and no. Well, now everybody thinks I wrote the book because his name's not even on the front of it. So he's like, it's one of my bestsellers. I said, it's because they think I wrote it. But give him a hard time. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. We might actually finish a little early. Nobody would mind that, would they? All right, so we're in the ambassadors now, and I've already emphasized the importance that the membership guide is intended to only be done one time. But again, if you find that it makes it too difficult, then you can do it 2 times. The only thing I know is that I think the gold discipleship guide has 1 or 2 more projects than the bronze or the silver. So the year that you're doing the gold, and you might be doing ambassador membership too, always look ahead. And that's what, like Ryan this past week just gave us our schedule for what Master Clubs is this coming year. Every time I get that schedule, I actually go into an Excel file and I'll write down what project I'm going to do every night. And I do this as the helper because we only get 27, 28 weeks at First Baptist. We do not get enough. So one thing that really helps with the ambassadors, if you run into the same problem, is that we will double up on the nights that it's the discovery, and we'll do half an hour of a project and 15 minutes of this and give ourselves 6 to 8 weeks to get through these. But that's how we can actually get it done in time. And if you don't go through and do that at the beginning of the year and see what your schedule is, you're going to be scrambling at the end of the year. So whenever we would have an easy project, we would know, just go ahead and start working on the next one because we have some weeks that we got to make up. But as I think Dan mentioned, you want to have at least 30 weeks. Prayerfully, if you can have 35, makes it very comfortable, gives your book time teachers some comfort because they know, listen, if this project's hard, it's going to take us an extra week. It's okay, I've got it, all right? And then, of course, if you finish the book and there's still 4 weeks of club, do an above and beyond badge. Find a fun platinum badge. Get that accomplished for the kids. Go through the missionary biographies with them and things like that. Try to help them earn some platinum badges, okay? Now, the ambassador books are supposed to be 4th grade is bronze, 5th grade is silver, 6th grade is gold. Again, though, all of these books are written on the same level. They're all written mid-4th grade level. So it's not going to be a problem, and I think we all come from smaller clubs. How many do you guys run? 40. So you're a good size, but to me, we were a good size club, 75, 80 kids at Lighthouse. We had a teacher for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, but we still did 1 crown a year so that all the kids were on the same crown. The benefits of this were, say our 5th grade teacher couldn't show up, well, the 5th graders could go in with the 6th graders because they were on the same one. Now, the ambassadors were always a couple weeks behind us because of, the bronze, where the 4th grade was always a little bit behind us because they had done their membership books. But it just made it great for me as a secretary because I wasn't having to realize what badges I needed for every single book. I knew which book I was on, okay? And I only had to get that many badges for my ambassadors. So we really recommend that your church just does a rotation because it doesn't matter if 4th graders come in their first year, it's a gold book because it's all written on the same level. The only thing is the gold does have, I think Bible storytelling is a little more labor intensive, but I know one of the other ones has the missionary folder. That one's more labor intensive too. So you can just help them out, and that's what you do. Now, we also have the Platinum Guide, and it is intended to be a supplemental guide. I just had a mother email me, please make it, can I please buy a Platinum Guide for my daughter? And I said, well, it's free online. You can print it off online. Oh, okay. So this one here's been a display one. It's getting a little beat up. But we do sell them for $10 where you can purchase them, and it has them all printed off in color for you. Or you can print it off on project, per basis on what the kids want to do. So I try to let my kids who are those above average children always know where that's at and where they can find projects, because what's in the back of the book may not interest them that much. For my son, I always like to use this illustration. My oldest daughter is my overachiever, go-getter, pleaser. She did the ambassador of her own fruition, put forth the effort all throughout 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Leah, my middle daughter, who's always she's hated, ever being compared to her older sister, but she's like, well, if Kayla did it, she decided in 5th grade, if Kayla did it, I'm going to do it. So she killed herself her 6th grade year. My son could have cared less. Mama said, you're doing it. So I went through it between his 5th grade and 6th grade year, and that summer, him and a buddy, we did a lot of the fun ones. The, camp cooking. He really enjoyed that. The camping, the hiking. They didn't like the hiking one. I was like, well, you two stop griping. It's a 4-mile hike. We can handle it, But they're like, how much farther do we have to go, I was like, you guys are wimps. But all 3 of my kids got the ambassador award, but only 2 because they wanted to, okay? I always try to let ambassador workers know only 10 to 20% of your kids are ever going to care less or put forth the effort. It really is. Honestly, it's usually the homeschooled kids because their parents use it as a curriculum, okay? They're the ones who I have found most of the time get the ambassador award. Or your Christian school kid who's, Bible Billy and Scripture Susie, they're the ones. However, though, a lot of your kids, I would say at least 50% of your kids can earn this. This is the Triple Crown, where they just have to, get the badges for each crown. They don't have to do anything extra. And I would say about 50%. And realize, what if you have a 5th grader who comes in and they accomplish, this is something a lot don't know. If you have a brand new student that comes in 5th grade and does everything in 2 of the crowns, you can't award them that if they just weren't there for the 4th grade, okay? However, to get the ambassador one, they have to do all 4 crowns because we do award, each year we pick 2 to 3. It's judged, we don't pick them. Dan every year gets 5 different directors, pastors for the scholarship. People send in the application and that's sent out. We don't have anything to do with it. And so that's the only one that we really do require. Listen, you've got to do what it says. And that's where, for things like the Triple Crown and all that, if you have a child who works hard and you've had to simplify projects, but they've still done, that's fine, because that's your church awarding it to them. The only exception is when that child's applying for an ambassador scholarship, we want to know that they've completed, and they have to send in a picture, but we're trusting you as a church to be honest when you ask for that award, that child has completed what's required for it, okay? So that's something a lot of churches don't know. I'll be honest with you, our 6th grade teacher, she doesn't like it. How can they get a Triple Crown if they've only earned 2 crowns? So, well, it's not that kid's fault that they didn't show up and parents didn't have them here in 4th grade. So that's just something, if you have a child that's a hard worker, they can do that. Now, if some kid shows up in 6th grade and are hard work, you can't give them a Triple Crown for 1 crown, okay? Of course, you could if you want to, what are we going to say? All right, but this is meant to be a supplement, and of course, it's really only going to be your overachieving kids who want it, and it is free, but we decided to go ahead and make it available because some churches don't have a really nice copier and things like that, and they want to have that in full color. Now, in the ambassador program, just like with the soldiers, okay? You're completing, and the little guys too, but the way it's set up is the same way the soldiers is. You're completing one project a night. The left side is what you're doing during book time each night. So I'm not telling the kids to look these up and match it up by themselves. We're doing that together, collectively as a class. We're having a kid look up 1 Samuel. I can't read it, but look it up, and we together are going to come up with where does that go. Okay? We're going to go over all the historical books together. We're going to go over the viewpoint. We're going to talk about all this stuff together, and then at the end of the night, we're going to sign that off. Okay? They haven't sat there and done the work independently. I've done it with them. Now, remember, is this the, no, whoops. Where's the little red thingy, hun? The middle? Oh, there. Okay. This is where it is different, because in the primaries, they don't get a separate award for scripture memory. It's part of the project. Okay? If that scripture memory is shown, if that scripture verse is on that page, to get the good news badge, they'll have to have said the verses that are inside that good news badge. That's where the ambassadors are different. Okay? They're working on, each week, they could be working on up to 4 badges. They're working on the Bible Study 1 badge. That's what we're doing in club. They're working on the Scripture Memory 1 badge. Okay? That's a completely different badge. They don't have to do this to get that. They have to do these, 10 of those, to get that. Okay? So it's a completely different badge. Then they're working on a daily devotion badge, and they could also be working on Sunday School Faithfulness. So technically, a kid every week could be working on 4 different badges, okay? So that's where I think some teachers get confused, and they think they can't award this because they haven't said all their verses. No, the scripture memory is completely separate in the ambassador program. Also, this is not intended to be covered at all during club. This is what I'm looking at when they've come up to me and they say their verse from last week, and I'm signing this off. I like to keep their book, and that's when I'm looking to see if they did their devotions, and I sign it off before we even get into book time. Okay? I have taken care of so much before I even get into book time each night, because I'm sitting there at a table, I'm listening to their verse, I look at this, and I can sign that off and keep track then of how many daily devotions they've done. All right? So just realize that all these are separate, and I'm not going to cover this. There is no way I can cover this, and cover that. Because I had teachers say, how do you make sure they've done all their... I don't. And you know how I check daily devotions? I look at 1 or 2 blanks, see if they look like they actually did. I don't read every one. I'm not a school teacher. This is not school. I'm going to trust the kids. And trust me, sometimes they're going to get one over on me. That's okay. They're going to answer to God for that. Okay? I was a PK growing up. You know when I would have my devotions, sometimes for the Wednesday night teen club I had to turn in? Because we'd show up like half an hour before church. I'd go into a ladies' stall, and I'd be answering all the blanks as quick as possible so I could get it signed off, because I was the pastor's kid. I'm supposed to have done my devotions all week. Okay, so I'm not stupid. I do know that some of these kids have filled in the blanks right before they've showed up to church. Okay, but that's all right. I'm going to keep encouraging them and hoping it's going to click in that, hey, if I can just spend 5 minutes with God each day, I want them to get in that habit. They're not going to do it every week. Okay, and again, they're not answering to me, they're answering to God. I've worked with a lot of school teachers who are Master Club workers, and I have to constantly say, they're not in school. This is not school, okay? All right, so left side's completed during work break time, and right side is completed at home. Oftentimes there's confusion about these series badges, right? And if you keep a master record, it's really simple to know when to award a series badge, okay? If you look at the service series, there are several, I think there's 9 different possible badges in the service series, but they only have to earn 5 of them to get that big 4-inch service or 2-inch service series badge, okay? So they're going to complete Bible storytelling in club. They're going to complete sermon notes in club. Look, that's an old one. They're going to complete testimony in club. They're going to complete this one in club. So really, these kids are going to have to do 1 extra on their own to get that one. Now, the Bible series 1, 2, 3, and 4, those are the ones that almost every kid, if they're doing their badges in club, are going to get the Bible series badges above and beyond. We have over 54 platinum badges, and you're going to see that graphic in a minute, that kids have to choose from. And these are just the extra words. We have the bronze, silver, gold, platinum pins, and then we have the Triple Crown Ambassador and Sword Challenge. Again, as I said, 10 to maybe 15% if you're lucky. I know we've had some churches that have had club forever, and they finally, after we'd come and done a training and we kind of taught them how to methodically get through things, they finally have started awarding the Triple Crown, and they had their first ambassador 2 years ago, and they were so excited because they had never kept the kids together. So book time was always crazy, and they never knew where anybody was at. And they're like, it just works so much better now. So they were so excited. Sword Challenge was one that at our church is just finally we're starting to get some kids who are doing it. And again, those are for your above average kids that are going to do the Sword Challenge. So here's our poster, which if you're the club secretary or an ambassador teacher, I would highly recommend you ask for them to get one of these so you could put it up in your classroom, because it easily lays out what badges they're going to earn each year, and then it gives you all the platinum badges in alphabetical order. And then it shows you all the extra things you can do as well, plus all your series badges. So I really like having one of these, because we have them for the little guys too. You just have this wherever your master club closet or secretary is. She has this, okay, because it's an easy reference. And then also have them up in your classroom, because it's good for the kids to get to see what they can do. So as I said, we have 54 options in the platinum. Does anybody know off the top of their head how many a kid has to earn to get a platinum crown? It's 15. 15 additional badges will get them the platinum. And the only ones that you have to remember are Sunday School Faithfulness. They can earn that 6 times as an ambassador, because they can earn it twice a year. However, it can only be counted 1 time toward a platinum crown. They might have 6 of them, but you only can count it once. The other one is daily devotions. They can earn that one 6 times as well, and it can only be counted 1 time. And the other one is the Around the World series, which is right there. They can earn that one twice, and it can only be counted 1 time. So it's almost if there's any badge that they can earn more than once and have it put on their vest, it only counts. And think about it. If we let you count 6 Sunday School Faithfulnesses and 6 daily devotions and 2 Around the Worlds, well, there's 14 right there. And a kid really didn't have to do much at all to get the Ambassador Award. So the purpose of these is for the kids to learn. I love the Bible reading one. That's one where you can kind of earn 2 badges, because you can go through the New Testament and you get all those badges, and then you get a New Testament reading badge on top of that. And that New Testament reading badge does count as a badge toward the platinum. The Great Bible Stories badges, you can earn those while you're also doing your Old Testament reading, because you've read the Bible story and the book of the Bible. So you can get around the system a little bit, ladies. Just figure, and fellas. Okay? All right. So then we have the leader guides, and of course they're a great resource. They're going to help you to be more effective and better prepared as an ambassador leader. I helped a lady last year in our club, and she has taught master clubs for many years. And she's done it so many years that I can tell she doesn't even look at the book before she comes in anymore. And she won't even know some nights what she's doing until right before she comes in. That is not how we should be. Okay? I work at master clubs. I've gone through the books, but yet when I'm working in master clubs, I spend at least half an hour to an hour every week looking at what I'm going to do and doing some prep work, because I want to. And the truth is, if you can stay in the same group, you can just keep getting better and better and better every year. That's what keeps driving me nuts, is I keep getting rotated because I help whoever, and it's like I'll make all this stuff for the one age and then I'll give it to the teacher. And now I'm in another age group, make all, so it's like, boy, if we ever leave, I'm going to be like, can I have back all my stuff? No. But that, and that's the truth. Like if I was to stay with third grade, all the stuff I made for that, well, then I'd have it for next year. And then I could add on to it and I could get better and better and better. So realize if you're new at this, you're not going to be the best at it the first couple years, but just try to do a little bit more each year. And then by your third or fourth year, you're going to be an awesome book time teacher, okay? Some of the badges on page 33, I love the ambassador badges that we have. I love the ones that encourage the kids to love their pastor. I love the Bible story badge, the do unto other badge. I really like the helping badge, and is it the I love my church? I'm trying to remember the one where they learn to be a help at their church. I think that's just the helping. Be a help at home, be a help at church. There's so many badges that really do help your kids, and that's the point. You're trying to teach them to be a great church member and a help to their church. Now, ladies, the other thing, and fellas, that is a huge help that I know, and I think I'd be really sad if I knew how many churches are not using them, are the master records. They are all free to print online at masterclubs.org. How many of you have a secretarial position at your church? Anybody here? Okay, I'm going to talk to secretaries if you guys want to at like 2 just to tell you some ideas that I have. But as a secretary, we have that if you go all the way over to resources and click down on secretary, there's all kinds of stuff on there for you. There's master records for every single kid. As the club secretary, I kept the master records for every kid in my club. And it was not hard to do at all. It was not overwhelming. And that's how I help the teachers. Because if you're a book time teacher and you have to keep the master record and teach book time and all that, it can feel a little overwhelming. You should always strive to plan ahead and so I'm not going to go into tons of detail about the master record because I'll kind of talk to the ladies in secretary. And if anybody else wants to go to it, they can, okay? Make sure that you read through the badge requirements before the first week of work. So what I'm saying is the badge requirements, not just the project. So when you first start, like for this book, it's the Good Samaritan. I'm going to go through and look at everything they have to do in a whole for the Good Samaritan. See if there's anything that I need to have extra or prepare for. Because I'll be honest, there's some weeks, honestly, where you might need to only put in about 15 minutes of work. And you can do a good job. There's going to be other weeks where it's going to take 30 minutes to an hour, okay? So always look ahead and make sure that when you come, you're prepared for what you need to do. Each time a verse is passed, it needs to be on a separate week. This is where it can get a little hairy at the end of the year when kids are trying to make stuff up, and they want to say a verse to you 2 times in one night. We never let them do that, okay? Because again, remember what we said, we want them to retain it. But I would let them come up to me on a Sunday night, say, bring your book Sunday. You can come to me Sunday. What we've done, too, because, as you heard, we have 27 weeks of club. Kids learning 30 verses, how do you do that? You have to learn a couple in a night. We've let parents FaceTime us, okay, and the parent has to be the one so we know the kid's not holding the book out like this. Okay, so the parent FaceTimes the teacher and the kid says the verse to the teacher. We've done that, too. So they do it once at church, and then another night of the week, they'll call and say it, because we want to make sure it's on 2 separate weeks. Know what's needed and have it ready to go before the children arrive. Okay, if you're going to do an I Love My Missionary, and you're supposed to have a missionary family ready, you don't want to just show up to church and, well, I guess we'll do this one. This is the only prayer card I can find. Because you're supposed to have a prayer letter and a prayer card, and I love to pick a family that has children similar to the age of the children I'm working with. So if I've looked ahead, I'm not like, oh my goodness, it's Wednesday at 5 p.m. and I'm supposed to have a missionary prayer card. Okay, whoops. So I clicked the wrong button. Wow, I went really far back. All right, so you want to make sure you do that. And then look at, will you need extra help? We love to do, like on the first aid badge, we love to get a nurse or an EMT to come in and actually help the kids learn about burns and how to, bandage burns and all that. We had a lot of fun this year. The kids were wrapping themselves up. And they were cutting off circulation. It was great. We had hands turning purple and red, but hey, the kids had a good time with that. And then this is another great thing. If you have an at-home assignment and you have a helper or if it's just you by yourself, sometime during that week, just call to remind that kid, hey, don't forget, I want you to bring a candy bar or a nice little gift that we're going to send. Or remember, we're making a nice big basket to give our pastor this week. And if you call and remind, guess who else is going to be reminded when you call and remind? Mom's going to be like, yeah, why did Mrs. Jessup call? Oh, Mom, I'm supposed to be taking. Okay? So again, don't call them Wednesday afternoon. Call them Monday if your church is on Wednesday. Just like you guys, our church is on Thursday, so that gives us Monday and Tuesday to call. But try to call, and again, there's a lot of weeks where there's not at-home work to do. It's very seldom that there is. So it's great on those weeks that there is that you do call and remind them. And then a lot of people always have questions of how do you bring clubbers up to speed, okay? Number one, the clubber has to want to be brought up to speed. If they don't care, then what did I tell you? It's not your goal to make sure that their vests are full. It's to make sure that when they come to club, they're being discipled. But you're going to have kids that do want to get brought up to speed. So when you're done with book time and there might be an extra 5-10 minutes at the end, have your assistant work with them and try to help them. Have them come to you before club and have them sit while you're listening to other people and say, okay, start filling this out. Because almost all our projects can be done by a student independently. If they have a Bible, they can do it. So also if you have parents that come to you, that will be, sometimes a parent will come and be like, how come my Susie has never gotten a badge? Well, Susie's never finished every project. You know, she only does this, and then you guys were gone for 3 weeks. And that's when parents might start getting behind you a little bit because Susie came home crying. Everybody else got a badge, but I didn't get a badge, okay? And then the parent can get involved, and you can tell them, listen, you can work it at home. We're here. Any of those projects that aren't done before that, you are more than welcome to help them at home, okay? If you don't have a helper, you might could get a parent to come in one night for that same purpose. And again, if you have a 35-week club, you would have a couple extra weeks where you could have makeup nights. Okay, let's go through, and that's where you could have your students who are excelling help those who are struggling, okay? Go to I've never done this, but it's in the book, so we have it up there, okay? But if it's a bus kid or a child who doesn't have Christian parents, you could contact him and say, Bobby's a little bit behind. Would you care if I just came and spent half an hour with him? And you might have the opportunity to give him the gospel too while you're there. Saturday morning help, another thing. We've done this for regionals preparation, but never to catch up books. I really don't think this is necessary. Okay, most of them will do it at home if they really want to catch up. And always have that behind child, though, work on the same project as the other children during book time. It does not make sense if a kid is 3 weeks behind to send them out of the room and have them, then they're behind on the week what you're doing now. Always have the kids together because your goal is to disciple those kids while they're with you in club. Now, if you guys have any questions, we're going to have question time at the end. So Dan always says, if you have any questions, just write them off to the side. You can ask us at the end. But I'm going to go ahead and stop now so that we can keep going and maybe get out a little early. But if you had any questions about book time or any, we'll be more than happy to answer those at the end.
All right, we're going to switch gears and go right into game time here. Game time, everybody's favorite. Okay, so just go ahead and turn. Wow, I pulled a April Jessup here. Went very, very far back. She gives me the clicker, and there we go, right? At least it worked. It's on speed. It's on drugs here. Just keep going. It's like some of your kids in the candy, right? The fun dip we talked about. Okay, so page number 40. Page number 40, and we'll talk about game time, okay? Most kids, they're going to look forward to game time. It's just the way it is. Please be accepting of that. Most churches I go to, there's always 1 or 2 workers who are, I guess the best term to use would be ultra spiritual. We have workers at First Baptist Church where Master Clubs is headquartered, and we'll have an annual meeting with our workers, and we'll talk about some things we want to improve and all the rest of that, and our director will lay out some things. There's always a couple sticks in the mud who will say, let's get rid of game time. I'm not joking. These kids don't need game time. We got to get in the Word of God. Well, that's true, okay? But they're kids. Okay, and I told you guys before when we started about that quote from Erasmus about Erasmus, get that, Erasmus, saying, look, you know what, we ought to use some games to teach kids memory verses. They're going to retain it a little bit better, okay? So we think about game time, use a variety and use some stuff where you got some of the review games that we've got going on. Those are fun games to play. Use some athletic games. Use some games that are just for fun. Let me give you some tips on this, okay? And some of this stuff you want to write down in the margin. I've got some of it written down here, but I want to give you some things that are extra. Some of you in here have been to the big regionals competition, right? This is my friend at regionals. We will have a gymnasium packed, and you guys have been there, you're packed with people everywhere. This has a common result, right? And when I blow this whistle, I'm not going to do it right now, but you know what that means. In sporting events or groups, it means stop. You know, someone's trying to get my attention. Everything ceases, right? Somebody else is in control. Most referees in most sporting events, most games, most referees have a whistle. I know baseball is kind of different than that, but you know, especially when there's action in play and there's a timer going, you know, that kind of thing. Use a whistle to your advantage, okay? Now, obviously, if you got a gymnasium or you're outdoors, that's fine. If the church service is going on in here and you're in the next room, probably not wise to use a whistle, okay? You may want to think about that, but man, it is a big help to you. I end up controlling several hundred people at a time in a gymnasium filled with parents, grandparents, friends, leaders, all the kids. You know, we have regionals, and there's sometimes there's 24 lanes of 5 kids apiece, each lane, plus their leader, plus leader at the table. I blow the whistle, and 9 times out of 10, if not most of the time, I'm able to get everybody's attention very, very quickly, and things move, right? And so we don't waste any time. It's very important. Number 2, pre-assigned teams. This will help you in game time. When you're playing games and you got the teams, I mean, I talked to you about girls and guys with some of the review games, but some of these other games that you play, you know, size them according to their height and weight kind of idea, okay? Especially if you're playing like kickball or dodgeball, some athletic game. So, you know, when you pre-assign the teams, it also gives you a chance if you're playing in one of our relay games that include maybe putting the 10 Commandments in order, something like that. Well, you know the kids who know the game a little bit more. Try to even out the teams so it's a little bit more competitive. Plus, if you don't do a deal where you're calling out captains, right? You know, you captain this team, you captain that team. You ever been in a recess, right, at the playground? That kind of stuff happens. But most often, that same kid is the last. Well, he's the last one to get chosen. You don't want that to happen in master clubs, okay? Have a plan B. That just basically means, you know, things can happen. I've had game time all set up, and boy, the ball deflated. Like it got a hole in it, or something crazy happened. I'm glad I had another one ready to go. Man, we had all this stuff out, and this has happened. Teenagers came by before church, stole one of the bases, and yeah, ran off. Things happen, all right? So be prepared. If you're doing stuff outside and you think the weather's going to be fine, but then a storm comes up, right? Have something ready to go. We talked about keeping things simple with rules. I think that follows too. You don't want to spend 10 minutes explaining the rules of a game and cutting into game time. But I think if you got anything out of this, these 3 words right here are very, very, very important. One of the things that children look forward to in game time is spending time with you on their level. Okay? Some of you that have children that have grown up in your home, or if you have grandkids or whatever by now, you probably get this. You know, the kids enjoy it when you're willing to come down to where they're at and do what they do with some of their fun time. It's how they spell love, T-I-M-E. When I come back and I'm in town, and we're having master clubs, which is on Thursday nights each week for our church. I don't get to go every week because sometimes I have to travel and I got to be gone on Thursday depending on how far I have to travel. But if the kids are there, I've got to make sure I get into game time. And I'm not just saying get into the bleachers and watch. I was already get in there and get with them, right? If we play dodgeball with the ambassadors, it's on. Brother Jessup's out here. Let's get 4 or 5 of us. Let's go tackle them, And that's, you want that though, right? I mean, these kids, spending time with them is where it's at for you and I. And if I want a good relationship with them, and if I want them, to understand that, look, when we have Bible time, we have workbook time, I've got a set of rules here that are very simple, but you got to keep these. I have high expectations of you, right? Spending time with them in relationship is going to help them maintain or keep those rules. And can I say this to you? Not just out of fear of reprisal, but because of love, right? The younger a child is, we understand, and the more immature someone is in walk as a believer, or you're talking about a kid, they end up obeying rules or following things because there's a fear of punishment. There's a fear of a negative consequence. You want them to grow out of that, to where what they're doing or how they're living or the rules are following, right, or whatever it might be, behavior is out of love for authority. Okay? Now listen, I know the Bible has warnings in it. Don't misunderstand me. And there's everything about the wrath of God and judgment to come and so on and so forth. But you and I, as mature Christians, we ought to be motivated to do what we do for God because we love Him. Not because I'm afraid of, I'm going to lose awards at the judgment seat of Christ. Yeah, that's the truth, but you know what? That's not why I do what I do. Right? I do what I do, and I am who I am, and I serve how I serve because I love God. So you think about that and boil that down to the children's aspect of who they are, and I'm going to get into a separate time with them and instruction later on. I want them to follow me because they love me. Right? Think about the idea, the disciples, right? They followed Jesus because they were afraid He would send them to hell. No, that's not why they followed Him. They said, listen, you got the words of life. You're the Messiah. Right? What did Jesus say to Peter? Lovest thou me? Right? So we know the disciples loved Jesus, so they followed because they loved Him. Children, I know that we're not Jesus, don't misunderstand me, but we represent His authority. We want those kids to follow us because they love us. Wow. Boy, be involved. Be exciting. This is another aspect. We're talking about rally time, being someone like Tigger, okay? And game time, you want somebody who's energetic, somebody who's able to get up in front of a group and lead them, right? And encourage them to participate. And then the last one is, of course, be balanced. Balance is the key. That's your blank there. Balance is the key to effective game time. Switch often, right? Master clubs and what we do with kids a lot is built upon variety. Boy, that's so important. On the next page, we got some more things about games and games that we play with kids. But I do want to say this to you, and I hope we understand this. There's nothing wrong with the word fun. The word fun's not a bad word. You look at some of the list of games here that we've got, and I'm going to put up some of these Bible games. When we get into the gym and we play these games at regionals, the kids get so excited and so motivated. We're having fun. It's very obvious to see that. But look at what they're doing. They're putting the stories of the Old Testament in order, right? They're putting the scriptures that match each part of the wordless book and presenting the gospel. They're putting them in order and have them memorized. There's everything right with that and playing a game in that style and having fun. So, boy, maybe I need to continue to preach and teach this at our church. You guys probably all have this down, amen? Page number 42. page number 42. For kids who are ambassadors, or we call them juniors, of course, in that department, what you can do with our games is help them get prepared for regionals each year. And it's already completed, but usually we don't have churches register for regionals until the first part of September. But if your church can register for regionals the first part of September, you get a binder from us, or well, you get a download of a PDF you can put into a binder, and you can make copies of that, but it has all of the games in there. What the rules are, how the games are played, even the item numbers if you need to order some things, even things that we don't have in our inventory that you could purchase from another company. We tell you where the website is at. We tell you what the equipment is or how it's designed, just to try to be a help to you when it comes to game time. But please do us a favor, okay? Don't kick game time out of master clubs, okay? Wow. All right, let's get to award time here. Page 44 with award time. Awards motivate children to go above and beyond what their normal potential would be. And I think award time really has the idea, or really has the potential to maximize it. You can imagine when you guys look up here at these displays over here, and then you look over here too with our vests and so on. There's a lot of graphical representation, a colorful representation of what boys and girls are accomplishing, okay, each week in master clubs. I think, on page 44 here, number 1, make this the most honorable time that you can in master clubs. Make this a big deal. Your church or your people, or maybe it's folks, maybe it's your parents, I don't know who it might be, but you're spending time, you're spending money on these things. I remember one of the first, this is about 7-8 years ago, one of the first meetings I had like this with the church. And the church only wanted it just for their church. They wouldn't invite anybody else. And they wanted us to come on a Wednesday night and walk and just like observe everything and then tell them what they could improve and so on and so forth. So my wife and I are there. It's a lovely group of people. Boy, they had about 100 kids in master clubs. It was exciting, you know. And we get towards the end of the night, and I'm expecting, before I came, that they would be doing some of the things I think would be normal. We're in the middle of a room about half this size, and my wife and I are in there. We're listening to Bible time, and down the hallway, like that hallway there, we hear a bunch of rustling of bins. You can hear drawers sliding back and forth. You can hear some commotion. There's 2 or 3 workers back there at 2 large 8-foot tables doing a lot of stuff back and forth. You hear a lot of hustle and bustle, right? We get done with Bible time. And I'm thinking, okay, and then the gentleman in charge said, okay, everyone's dismissed. We'll see you next week. I'm thinking, wow, no awards tonight. I can't believe it. We're here. It's the 3rd month of master clubs. Nobody's earned anything. 100 kids here. Wow. My wife and I walked to that open foyer area, and when we get back there, a couple of the ladies had just pulled off some of the vests, and we're folding them back up and putting them back in drawers in a closet to be hidden away. I said, hey, what's going on? Well, we just got through with award time. I said, what? Yeah, exactly. And she said, yeah, we just got through putting all the awards back on the kids' vests, and anybody earn anything? We got them all in here. I said, well, what's going on? Where are you putting it? Well, we're going to fold them back up and put them in the closet. I said, so you mean the kids never get to see this? The kids never get to handle this? Yes, that's what I said. I said, what? What's going on? Because in my mind, I know what it costs to do this. I know what it can be. And they said, yeah, we just wait till one time a year, and we'll take the vest out and give it to the kids, and they'll be here. And I said, so you mean all year long, the kids never see this? And she said, yeah, that's right. And I thought, okay, well, let me encourage you about how you can improve this, okay? How you can make this something that would be very helpful for you. So, listen, this next page, on page 45, 13 New Testament books, 13 of the New Testament books, talk about you and I as believers receiving rewards from God for our life as a believer. So some of these things about recognition, don't misunderstand. There's everything right with doing that. The Bible talks about us about paying honor to whom honors due. Some of the things that we have designed here for the awards, you can tell the awards come off of a Bible theme, like the crowns, right? The crowns we receive in heaven, there's several, you guys know this. The sword pins, right? Those kinds of things. Now let's kind of walk through and look at what we have very quickly. Then I want to explain to you something at the award time if you're not doing it yet. But basically for the 3-year-olds, if you have that, we just got a t-shirt for them. They do stickers. And of course, the beginners, the 4 and 5-year-olds, you can see one side's for the lambs, one side's for the shepherds. And we always encourage folks that when you buy a vest, when you get a vest for the little kids, that understand they're going to grow a little bit, right? So don't get one that fits snug the first year, because they're going to need it the second year, right? And the 4 and 5-year-olds. And then, of course, our next vest, and I'll just hit the screen here too. Our 1st through 3rd grade, this one's meant for 3 years. So you really got to make sure this one fits a little bit on the loose side for sure, and for the 1st grader, okay? Now, one of the things we did, I don't know if my wife talked about it or not, but I thought it was a great idea. How many of you remember the ribbons? Remember the ribbons we used to have? You remember the ribbons, yeah. Nothing wrong with ribbons for the kids, but the problem was there's no way to really display them on this vest and do it without them getting bent up, chewed up, folded up, all the other mess. So we went with pins, and the Bible pins, thankfully, they've been a real big hit, for just to represent the scripture memory. But you can see it there, the attendant stars, all 3 years there, servants, stewards, and soldiers, the membership, and so on. And then, of course, for the juniors, the ambassadors, we've got the vest over here. We've also got an honor book over there. But this here, if I spin it around, you can see where some of the other badges go. And I think we've even got representation up here on the table of our placement charts. So these placement charts, for each age level, they kind of tell you where to put the badge or the pin, wherever it might be, on the vest, so that you know. And then a lot of our books are there as well. Now, the 4th and 6th grade, these ambassadors, some of them, they don't like toting the vest. They don't like putting that on, which, hey, understandable. But some churches will use this honor book. And, of course, the honor book, the binder here, the pages, you have to get the certificates and so on. But what else can happen beyond the certificates is that there's places to put the badges there, okay, that the kids can. It's kind of a keepsake idea for master clubs for that age group. I can tell you this, that now more and more, it seems like a lot of churches go this route with the honor banner. This is extremely popular. There's a lot of ways to do this or to put this together, as far as that goes. When it comes to you, the way it's hemmed at the top. Now, I just did this very quickly with some stuff I got at Home Depot, so because we travel with it everywhere we go. But there's a hem in here that if you want to put a dowel rod through there, you can do that. Maybe a tassel up top, like to hang it, something nice. And some folks, what they'll do, they'll embroider the clubber's name up top. There's all kinds of things you can do the way that this is laid out. One of the reasons that this is very popular is because churches can hang them in a common area, to show, hey, this is what the kids are up to, this is what the kids are doing. The kids can see that every week, right? It's not ever hidden in the closet. And then too, what happens with the kids is that when they come of age and they kind of graduate from master clubs, what they'll do is they're more apt to hang this on a wall or keep this somewhere where it can be seen. But all these things are available for churches to use. But what I do want to do here is go to let's go to page number 48. Page number 48 and talk to you about some of the things with record keeping. You can see up here what I have is something called an award request form. All of these for every age group, every department, we have these online that you can print off for free. Okay, so you can access these and use these. What are these for? Well, if you look at this example here, and it's also in your workbook there on page 48, whatever group this is, whatever department this is or book they're working through, what you have is you have all the available badges, all the available awards for that workbook, right, that can be selected. So what this is meant to do, it's meant for you as a leader that you can list all your clubbers, right, in this column, right, and you can also say, hey, this is the award that I need. Now, sometimes if a kid's missed a week or two and they're getting awarded late, then you may have somebody that doesn't get the award all the same night that everybody else does. Or if you did, you just check off, hey, all these kids are getting the Do Under Others badge, and then just list all the names. The good thing about these forms is that when you download them from masterclubs.org, you can edit them. So you can go ahead and type in all your kids' names and print it off. You can't anymore?
No, because so many people have different files.
Ah, all right.
So my recommendation is that you make one where you've written in the kids' names, and then you keep making copies of that.
Okay.
So you don't have to write in the kids' names.
All right. Well, anyway, same principle.
Make it something people could edit, and we kept having people call saying they had too old word program or something. So it's just a PDF.
All right. Well, a PDF can be edited. That's still editable. Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, a PDF, you can't edit that if you have the software to do it. And that's okay. Yeah, which is becoming more and more prevalent. So, yeah, I was wondering, like, can we still edit that? We can. It's just a PDF file. It's not a Word doc. All right. Some of the younger crowd, you guys would get all that, right? Okay. Some of us older, we may not understand. Okay. We're good. But anyway, suffice to say, if you do it the longhand way where you write it down, that's fine. But you can take those and print those off and use those. And what's that for? That's to get to your secretary. Your secretary needs to see that so that she knows what to pull for you or for I will talk about this in a minute, for the director at the end of the night so that all the awards can be handed out. Okay? And this award request for this word efficiently, yeah, that's handy. Okay? You want this to be organized. All right, so let's talk about this and kind of see. Why are y'all chuckling back there? You know what I'm talking about. Okay. This kind of goes back to record keeping. Okay? How do you know they're supposed to get the Sunday school faithfulness badge? Well, here we go. We got a track record of this, right? How do you know they've earned enough badges to get the larger series badge tonight? Well, because you've got that documented. I know this is the soldiers, but you've got that documented on their master record. Okay, and that helps you keep track. Now, listen, let me say this to you now. When God blesses and your master clubs grows 35, 55, 75 kids, okay? These kinds of things right here are going to be all the more, you're going to be all the more thankful for them. Now, if you don't have too many kids, right, if you got two kids in your class in master club, let's be honest, that's very simple to take care of, is it not? Yeah, sure it is, sure it is. But listen, if you get some of these things set now and just start following some of the simple ones, as you grow, you're going to be very thankful for this, okay? Trust me, especially your secretary will be very thankful for this, okay? So how do we do this? How do we stay organized, and what's the best use? I want you to, maybe in the margin, write this down. 3 different things to help you with awards, okay? Here's number 1 is the paperwork. The paperwork. You want a track record of what was awarded and when. That award request form is going to help you do that. The master record form, though, especially so. Especially so, okay? Number 2 is presentation. So let me just explain to you how this would work. And I'm going to hit the rewind button for Master Clubs and how the night looks for just a minute, so hang with me. So what's the first of the 5 pieces, the 5 parts of the schedule, what's the first part called? Rally time. Okay, so rally time is where we try to bring in all the kids together all at the same time and have a group, large, unified setting before we all split up into our different age groups. And hey, you know, the lambs and shepherds are going to go over here to game time, and while they're doing that, the ambassadors are going to have Bible time, and so on and so forth. Okay. So when you get to the end of the night, what you want to do is bring all the kids back together as much as possible for award time. What's that going to accomplish? Well, one of the best things it accomplishes is that it allows the parents who dropped off their kids where rally time is located to know, if I want to get my kids when church service is over, come back to the same room. You like that? Yeah. Let me tell you, visiting parents especially like that. Why? They don't know your property. They have no, they're down there with, they don't know who that is. You know, go down the hall, take a left, turn right, go back. You know, now this building here is laid out where it's long, you know, and it's one, technically on the inside, one way down, one way back. So with a common hallway in the bottom and the top. But a lot of places are laid out and they've been added on to for years. How long has how long have you guys been around? 73 years. I'll guarantee you the place has been added on to a number of times, has it not? It looks like a labyrinth. It looks like a mouse maze. You know, let's add here. Let's add here. You know, and listen, I'm not faulting anybody, but it's how it goes. It's how buildings are, you know, we have the money, we're going to pop up here. I mean, you look around here and it's beautiful, like plans and a vision for the future, right? And that's great and good and well. It's going to be added on to, but things will change. And you have visitors come in, they're not going to know exactly where to go. So you bring them back for award time, it accomplishes that. And the second thing that we talk about publicity is that it works really well because you want the parents to see what's going on. I would always have award time start about the time that the pastor of the church had let out the parents so that they could come see what's going on. You talk about publicity and letting the church know what's going on. When we would have our awards night at the end of the year for Master Clubs, we had a big night where somebody in charge of children's ministry would preach that night. All the grandparents are invited, neighbors are invited. We'd have one of our best attendances for Sunday night service ever. And I would actually I would stand at the pulpit and call out, here's our 4-year-old teacher, Mrs. Debbie DeHaven. And boy, she'd get up here, she's going to call out all the little lambs by name. All the little lambs get out of their pews. They come up and they stand up on the platform. They've got their vests on, right, everything else. And when she talks about them, she may highlight 1 or 2 things about what happened during the year and say, one of the things we learned about this year was, you know, such and such, so and so. And then she'll award like Clubber of the Year or that kind of thing, Christian character, that kind of thing. And she may have like a parting gift. She may have a parting gift. Yeah. She may have like a parting gift for the kids, right? And it's kind of nothing like fancy or expensive, but just something nice. They all sit down, and here comes up the 5-year-old teacher and all of that, right? So listen, you do something like that, the church gets a chance to see what's going on. You want the church to know this is Master Clubs. This is what we're doing. This is how we operate. This is what God's doing in the lives of these people. These are our kids, right? Yeah. That's the publicity that you and I want. That's the presentation that we have. All right, it is about time to take a break here. We will come back. And can we do this when we come back?